The air in the bathroom felt like it had been sucked out. My sister's voice had just shattered my world. Jin Ho killed our father. The words looped in my head like a death sentence. I heard the door handle turn, and my heart did a violent somersault against my ribs. I shoved the cracked phone under a pile of towels and splashed cold water on my face, gasping as the chill hit my skin. When I turned, he was there. Jin Ho, the man I had kissed with every ounce of my soul only hours ago. Now, he looked like a monster wearing the skin of a lover. "Temi, you've been in here a long time," he said, his voice low, vibrating with that dark concern that I now saw as a trap. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," I lied, my voice thin as I forced a smile, the hardest thing I've ever had to do. "I was just thinking about home." He walked over and pulled me into his arms. I felt his heat, the strength of his chest, and for a second, I wanted to scream. He kissed my forehead, his lips lingering on the spot. "Don't think about it too much," he whispered. "I've sent my best men to clear the perimeter. Once we have the codes, this will all be over and you'll be safe." He paused for a second. "With me, of course," he added. "I know," I whispered into his chest, closing my eyes so he wouldn't see the terror in them. "I think I'm starting to remember where they might be." He pulled out of the hug and smiled brightly. "That's good. When you fully remember, we go get it before those scumbags," he said, and I nodded, forcing a smile. I was playing his game now. I had to, because that night, when the moon was hidden behind the soul clouds and the mansion was silent, I was going to disappear from him forever. I moved like a shadow that night. I had watched the guard rotations. I knew the 3-second blind spot in the hallway cameras, so I slipped out through the service entrance, the cold night air hitting me like a slap. The security details were less strict this time, because Jin Ho was sure I wasn't going to run anymore. He was sure he had completely deceived me to trust him, but that was where he got it wrong. Even if I was a fool before, I can't possibly remain a fool forever. I didn't look back at the penthouse as I ran, and I definitely didn't look back at the man who had stolen my father from me. I ran until my lungs burned. Then I reached a payphone at a deserted gas station and dialed the number Beezy had given me. "I'm out," I gasped. "Beezy, where are you?" "I'm in Korea, Temi. I'm already here." I had to get on a plane immediately we talked. Her voice came through, frantic and relieved. "I have a private security team ready to get you back home safely. Meet me at the old warehouse district by the docks. Pier 7. Hurry, before he finds you," she warned. I took a taxi, huddled in the back seat, clutching my chest. My fingers brushed the necklace my father had given me on my 21st birthday. It was a simple, heavy gold pendant. It was the last thing I had of him. I cried silently, mourning the father I'd lost and the man I'd mistakenly loved. I promise, I'll definitely make him pay. Once I've gotten home and I was settled, I'll get my revenge. When the taxi pulled up to Pier 7, I saw her. Beezy was standing under a flickering street lamp, surrounded by 4 men in tactical gear. "Beezy!" I ran to her, throwing my arms around her. "Thank God. I thought I was alone," I said, my voice shaking. But Beezy didn't hug me back. She pushed me away, her face contorting into something cold and unrecognizable. I looked at her surprised. "What happened? Is something wrong?" I asked, confused. "You always were the favorite, weren't you, Temi?" she said, her voice devoid of any warmth. I froze. "What are you talking about?" "Our father," she spat, stepping toward me. "He built an empire, and I was the one who studied the books. I was the one who understood the blood and the sweat it took to keep the shinobi name on top. And what did he do? He decided to give the keys to the kingdom to a fashion designer." Her tone was condescending. The world tilted, and for a 6 second, I finally understood what was going on. "Beezy, you're the one who told me Jin Ho killed him. What are you saying now?" I shook my head in disbelief, because a part of my brain was refusing to believe that my own sister would be responsible for our father's death. "And you believe me, because you're a fool," she laughed, and the sound was more terrifying than any gun to my head. I didn't need Jin Ho to kill him. I just needed the accident to look like his work. I've been working with the rivals for months. But the old man was smart, and it pissed me off the most. He hid the codes, and he told me he gave them to you as a gift on your birthday. She grabbed my chin, her nails digging into my skin. "Now tell me, where are they, Temi? Where did he hide the access to the ports?" She sneered. My mind raced. My birthday. The necklace. The heavy gold pendant. It had been around my neck this whole time. But I looked her in the eye and lied. "I don't know. He never gave me anything but a dress." "Liar!" She hissed as she pushed me hard. Suddenly, a shadow stepped out from the darkness behind Beezy. It was Jisoo. She looked perfectly composed, her designer heels clicking on the concrete. "She's definitely lying, Beezy," Jisoo said, her eyes burning with a strange fire of hate. "I told you she's stubborn. Jin Ho is obsessed with her, and he's probably on his way here right now. If we don't get those codes soon, we lose everything." "You," I muttered. "I thought you were on Jin Ho's side. You're betraying him for money." Jisoo looked at me, a cruel smile on her lips. "I don't want the money, Temi. I only want the power I'll get once I get my hands on those codes. Once you're gone, and I have the codes, Jin Ho will have no choice but to come back to me. I'll be the only one who can save his empire. She grinned evilly. He will never love you. I rasped. Even if you do this, you can never get his heart. Jisoo's smile dropped immediately. She nodded to the men. Make her talk. Her orders were harsh, and the men moved immediately. The next hour was a blur of pain. They didn't care that I was Beezy's sister. They only cared about the codes. I was tied to a rusted chair, my face bruised, and my spirit breaking. Every time they hit me, I thought of Jin Ho. I thought of how I had doubted the only person who was actually telling me the truth. Tell me! Beezy screamed, slapping me across the face. Where is it? I don't know. I choked out. Then I'll kill you here. She hissed as she pulled my hair. Please, I'm your sister. You can't possibly hurt me. I begged through the blur of tears. Sister, huh? She spat. All these years I've been working so hard, but I always ended up in your shadow. You were a disappointment, leaving the family business to run off to some fashion school. Dad was supposed to be mad at you and proud of me because I worked so hard to prove myself. Instead, he still compared you to me. She said with spite. Sister, please. I begged as she pulled at my braids. I've always hated you, Temi, and I've always wished you didn't exist. She sneered as she pointed a gun to my head. Now tell me where the codes are, or I'll blow your brains. She hissed with spite. Suddenly, the massive warehouse doors burst open as they were ripped apart by a hail of gunfire. Beezy and Jisoo ducked immediately to cover. Then through the smoke and the chaos I saw him. Jin Ho didn't look like a businessman anymore. He was the dragon himself. He was firing 2 guns at once, moving with a lethal, terrifying precision. His men swarmed the building, engaging Beezy's mercenaries in a symphony of violence. Jin Ho, stop! Jisoo screamed, stepping out from behind a crate. We can share this. The codes, the ports, think of the power we could have together. Jin Ho didn't even pause. He shot the man standing next to her without looking. I don't want your power, Jisoo. I only want her, and you dare to try to take her. His voice was hard. Beezy panicked as she saw her empire crumbling. She pulled a small handgun from her waist and pointed it at my head. Stay back, Jin Ho, or I'll finish what the car accident didn't. Jin Ho stopped. He lowered his weapons, his eyes fixed on me. They weren't cold anymore. They were filled with an agonizing desperation. Temi, look at me, he said. I looked. Through the blood and the tears, I saw him. I'm sorry, I sobbed. I should have believed you. It's okay, he whispered. I've got you. I was crying messily, and everything looked like it was going to get worse. But in a split second, everything happened at once. Jin Ho lunged toward me, and Beezy fired. Jisoo tried to run but was caught in the crossfire, falling as a bullet hit her shoulder. I felt a weight slam into me, knocking me and the chair to the ground. It was Jin Ho. He had thrown his body over mine. I heard a sickening thud, the sound of lead meeting his flesh. He let out a choked gasp, but he didn't stop. He rolled, firing his weapon one last time, and Beezy fell, a look of pure shock on her face as the light left her eyes. He had taken the bullet from me and had shot my sister who tried to kill me. Jin Ho! I muttered as I tried to move and hot tears burned my eyes. The warehouse was silent now, save for the sirens in the distance. Jin Ho! Jin Ho, look at me! I screamed, crawling out from under him. My hands were soaked, not with my blood, but with his. He was hit in the chest, the red bloom spreading across his shirt, mocking the dragon tattoo underneath. Pretty girls, shouldn't cry. He managed to wheeze, a faint, bloody smile on his lips before his eyes drifted shut. No, stay with me. Jin Ho, I cried. The ride to the hospital was a fevered dream of red lights and the smell of iron. I sat in the waiting room for hours, staring at my hands. His blood had dried in the creases of my palms. I prayed. I prayed to a god I hadn't spoken to in years. Take the codes. Take the money. Just let him live, I said weakly as my chest ached. The doctor finally emerged from the operation room, his mask hanging around his neck. He's lost a lot of blood, and the surgery was complicated, but he's stable. He's unconscious, but he's a fighter. He had said. I collapsed into a chair, sobbing with a relief so violent it shook my entire frame. I went to his room that night. He looked so still, so fragile amidst the beeping monitors and tubes. I sat by his bed and took his hand. It was so cold. I pressed it to my cheek. I'm so sorry, I whispered into the silence. I'll never leave again. I'll stay right here. Please just wake up. His fingers twitched. Slowly, painfully, his eyes opened. They were cloudy, but as they focused on me, a spark of life returned. Temi, he rasped. I'm here. Don't move too much. I said softly. You're crying, he murmured, reaching up a shaky hand to brush a tear from my eye. I told you to stop that. I laughed through my tears and hugged him, forgetting for a second about his wounds. He winced, a hiss of pain escaping his teeth. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I muttered immediately. It's okay, he smiled, pulling me back down gently. I like the pain if it comes from you. I stayed there, leaning my head on his shoulder. I'm so sorry I ran. If I hadn't gone to my sister, if I had just listened to you, you wouldn't be hurt like this. I sniffed as I regretted everything that happened. It's fine, Temi. He breathed and I looked up at him. Jin Ho, the codes. I know where they are. My father, he gave me a necklace, and he told me it was the key to my future. I thought he meant money, but I pulled the pendant from my neck. We looked at it together. I felt a small catch in the gold. I pressed hard, and the locket clicked open. Inside wasn't a picture. It was a microchip the size of a fingernail. The codes really were here. And it was with me all along, but I didn't know. Everyone was fighting so hard for this that they didn't mind taking lives, and I've been wearing it as an accessory all this time. But now we have one. Jisoo was in custody, for her greed and her downfall was ugly. Beezy was gone too, leaving behind her bitterness and jealousy. And as I looked at Jin Ho, I realized that my father was right. He had given me the key to my future. It wasn't the ports or the shipping lines. It was the man holding my hand. My name is Temiloluwa Shinobi. I came to Seoul looking for a legacy, and I found a love that was written in the stars and sealed in blood. The shadows are still there, but we're not afraid of the dark anymore.
Like, share, and subscribe for more.